everybody. This is Steven with Steve Snaketuary. I've got a very special guest with us today. I've been a fan of this dude's for a long time, and over the years, he has become a very good friend of mine. And this is Klank. I've got none other than Klank. I've got several of his albums. For those that don't know who Klank is, Klank, go ahead and tell everybody who you are, man. Give us a little rundown of what you've been doing, man.
My name is Klank Dialosa. I play in a band also called Klank. I used to play in a band called Circle of Dust back in the day. I'm a musician, songwriter, lover of life, I guess for the most part. That's what I do for fun. I write music with my best friends, and we play shows when there's no pandemics going on, and we're allowed to play, of course.
Right. Yeah, we got some crazy stuff going on in the world, man. And now, like I said, I've been a big fan of yours, and over the years, man, you've really shown me what a true friend can be, man. You've kind of been there, and I think I met you back in '96 in Cornerstone, and man, that was a very I don't know why, but I was very intimidated when I first met you, man. But it was really cool though, because you were real laid back, and even when I was talking to you and I got my picture with you and everything, man, it was you showed me, you were just even though I was very intimidated, I guess because it was my first big huge concert deal and my first time meeting you and everything, but you were real laid back, man. I thought that was really cool. And then a couple of years ago, my wife and family and my kids and I went to a hot sauce festival, and you let us hang out with you, man. We got to go out to eat with you and everything else, and we hung out with you, and that was really cool, man. So you've shown me what a really good friend could be throughout the years, man, and I really appreciate that, dude.
Awesome.
You had a very interesting thing happen to you. Now, this being Steve Snaketuary, tell everybody what happened to you a couple of years ago, man.
I used to work on a cannabis farm a couple of years back in a town called Morgan Hill, like in the middle of nowhere in California here. And it was August 8th, 2016. I was in the field weeding in the plants. My boss was in the row next to me, and we were going plant to plant, talking to each other, just going underneath, grabbing the weeds, tossing them, grabbing the weeds, tossing them. And apparently, in with the weed, I grabbed a rattlesnake. And what it did was it struck me on my middle finger, right on the knuckle, through my rubberized gloves. I had heavy-duty rubberized gloves on, and I didn't see it. And apparently I startled it because it grabbed me and it bit me. And I was like, ow. My boss was like, what's the matter? And I said, dude, I feel like something bit me, or I hit a thorn or something. He goes, what do you mean? I said, I don't know. It felt like a bee bite, like a bee sting. So I took my glove off and I saw this little mark, like a puncture mark. I said, man, dude. So I looked underneath the plant and I popped my head up. I go, dude, I think it's a snake under there. And he goes, get out of here. Meanwhile, they know I'm all snake phobic. All my coworkers. Yeah. He pops his head underneath and he goes, dude, you need to go to the hospital right now. I said, why? And he goes, that's a rattlesnake. And I said, stop pulling my leg, dude. Because they used to mess with me all the time, put rubber snakes in my lunchbox and around my steering wheel. And he goes, no, dude, I'm not playing. He goes, that was a rattlesnake that bit you, and you need to get to the hospital right now. And like I said, we were in the middle of nowhere. So I started running across the field, and then remembered all the shows I used to watch with my ex-wife, because she was she went to school for animal care, welfare, management training, and all that. And I watched so many shows with her, and it was like, if you ever get bit, don't run, don't speed up your heart, try to remain as calm as possible, because then the venom will circulate faster. So I get in my car and I start driving now. Like I said, I'm in the middle of nowhere. It took me like 30, 35 minutes to get to the hospital. I'm a righty by nature, so I'm driving with my left hand and I'm holding my hand up. And like when your hand falls asleep, like let's say you sit on your hand and it gets kind of numb, like pins and needles. It felt like that, but also with like a burning sensation, and it was slowly going up my arm. So by the time I got to the hospital, it's throbbing and my arm is starting to swell. And I'm kind of freaking out because, like I said, I'm the reptile snake phobic guy. What are the chances of me getting bit? So I park my car.
Right.
I go running into the emergency room and I go, hey, I just got bit by a rattlesnake. And they said, okay, well, did you call in advance? And I'm like, no, why would I call in advance? She goes, well, because we don't keep anti-venom on hand. That's why you have to call. I go, how the heck am I supposed to know that? So she goes, all right,
Oh,
give me all
wow.
your information. She starts to write all this down, and she goes, we need to dispatch somebody to go to a neighboring hospital. That's going to take at least 30 to 35 minutes, and then it's going to take up to 40 minutes to prepare it once they get back. So at this point, I'm, kind of freaking out. Already called my wife, let her know what's going on. My hand is hurting. It's like burning, like kind of hot. It's very warm to the touch. My arm is swelling, and it's going up to the my elbow, edge of my forearm. By the time they got me inside, they were doing vital signs, all this kind of stuff. They started marking with a marker. They started putting all these little markings on there, and they said basically this was how they were going to tell if it was getting bigger or smaller once they got the anti-venom. So the lady we go through everything. My wife ends up showing up just as they get the anti-venom. They start preparing it, and the doctor comes in and goes, hey, just so you know, about 7% of the population is allergic to the anti-venom. So I said, okay, well, whatever. So they start shooting me up with this stuff. Now, meanwhile, my arm is starting to get gray because now it's been a while. So I'm starting to freak out. My pulse is definitely, I'm stressed out, because my skin is changing colors and I'm starting to freak. They start pumping me through the anti-venom, start pumping me with it. I sit up and I start puking all over the emergency room and the doctor goes, well, look at that. You're apparently part of the 7% that's allergic to the anti-venom, which is a part with my life, So it was pretty intense. The pain really sucked, to be honest. At its peak, my forearm was the size of my upper inner thigh, and luckily it never went past my elbow. So picture from the top of your knee almost to your crotch. That's how big my arm was. It was kind of like a water balloon that was about to pop, and that's what it felt like. I felt the pressure of the skin. I ended up spending 2.5 days in intensive care. They had to come in every 45 minutes to an hour to take vitals, and where they put those markings on my arm, like in front of my thumb, after my thumb, and like 3 or 4 spots up here, they had a tape measure. And they had a special chart, and every time they came in to do vitals and whatever, they would measure each spot, because I thought once you get the anti-venom, that's it. You're done and you're good.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to get to be released that night. Wrong. The doctor says, well, we need to keep you for observation. I said, why would you need to keep me for observation? And they said, a lot of people, the first 24 hours after a bite is still as urgent. And I said, yeah, but you already gave me the anti-venom. They go, that doesn't matter. Sometimes people can need up to 12 vials or whatever, depending on how big the snake was and how bad the bite is. Because apparently the smaller the snake, it doesn't control the anti-venom like the big ones. The big ones know, bam, they shoot you, they get you. The smaller ones, apparently, now that I know, they just keep dumping the venom in you because they're small. They're like little kids. So the doctor said the first 24 hours now are very detrimental. We have to closely monitor you. We have to come in every hour, and we might have to give you more anti-venom. Turns out I only got 4 vials of the anti-venom. Thank goodness.
Wow.
I had $14,000 a vial, by the way. Yeah. I spent 2.5 days. I got discharged late after. I got discharged like 5 p.m. the day before my 45th birthday. So I got discharged on the 10th. So I'll never forget my 45th birthday ever, because I spent the 2.5 days in the hospital. And the crazy thing was, once they started getting this under control and the swelling started to go down, I had to have my hand above my head. They said not above my heart, like most times. They said it had to be above my head. And they said I had to keep it like that for 7 days. And I'm like, why would I have to keep it like that? They go, because the way the blood flows, it has to be above your head. So they told my wife, you have to build up pillows every night. He has to sleep. We don't care if you have to duct tape his arm to the wall. This is how it has to be done.
God.
So for the following week, I'm walking around my house, the first couple of days, like this. And I don't know if you even just try to hold both hands over your head, after like a minute, it sucks. It hurts. It's like, and I was told, like, doctor's orders, at all costs, keep your hands up. So I was trying to get real creative at the house, sitting on the couch watching TV with things stacked. So my arm was constantly going to be up like this. It was brutal.
Dude.
The burning sensation and the numbness, I'll never forget. And the fact that my arm was swollen out to here was just, I never wish that on any of my enemies ever. Just
wow.
Because, so
it was that bad.
Yes, and at the end of the day, it turned out to be $122,000 for the visit. Yeah, that luckily it was a work-related thing, so my boss was not responsible.
Right. Did they find out exactly what kind of rattlesnakes? I know in California you guys have a couple of different kinds. Did they find out what kind it was?
No. When I was on my way to the hospital, my boss had smashed it with a hammer and killed it, and then laid the hammer next to it and took a picture of it. And then he sent it to me, and then he called me and said, hey, they're probably going to want to know how big the snake was. That's why I killed it, and I put it there so they can get an idea. It was a little bit bigger than a foot long, maybe like 14 to 16 inches or something like that.
Wow.
Like I said, I'm in the middle of, like, it's all dirty and dusty up there. So, and those are brown and black. So, of course, I didn't see it. I had no, I didn't even think about any of that. In the past, they said, oh, sometimes we get rattlesnakes out here, so keep an eye out. But after, you're there for 3 years, you don't see anything, out of sight, out of mind, until the day I got struck. And then the irony was, after I finally came back to work a week later, they had the snake pellets out everywhere, which they didn't have earlier in the season. They had the signs, rattlesnake area, be careful, watch your step. But I'm like, hey, day late, $1 short, guys.
Yeah. So, normally they say, there's a safety rule there because somebody screwed up somehow. So
yeah. And it was funny because, like I said, the guys I worked with were real comedians. So in my lunch bag, the first day I'm back, in my lunch bag, there's rubber snakes around my bottled water. They had rubber snakes around my steering wheel, my shifter column, my gear selector. I mean, it was, those are the kind of friends I have. So it was interesting.
Yeah.
It was, funny, not funny, yet still funny.
Right. So now you mentioned something about your ex-wife used to have a snake. So
he had 13
snakes.
Did
this snake bite? In that place, when you're in that period of dark.
Plus the snake's name. She used to have everything container they were in had this full scientific name, Slitherus among us, or whatever they would call it, whatever it was all broken down. And the biggest snake she had was like 8 feet long. And she used to ask me, oh, honey, I'm going to grab it with the hook and the thing because I need to feed it. She would come back with like these rats and mice that were like this big. And I couldn't even go in the room where they were at. And then a couple of times she was like, I'm going to put it in there. I need you to cover it real quick so it doesn't get out. And like, you want to talk about it, panic and anxiety attack. It was rough, dude. It was rough.
Yeah. So let me ask you, because part of Steve Snaketuary's mission is to eliminate fear through education. So do you think that there's anything that could help you get over that fear of snakes?
I don't know, man. I'd like to say yes, just because I'd like to not be afraid of them. But at the same point, I don't ever want to be in close proximity whatsoever with them, just because they freak me out, especially after this. It's like I had a very healthy fear of them, and now I have a very unhealthy fear of them at all costs.
Yeah.
Like, avoid them. Yeah, I'm paranoid. I'll be honest with you. I'm totally paranoid. When I watch your videos that you put on like YouTube or Instagram, sometimes I see you,
Yeah.
like, I see them strike at you, and you pick them up, and I'm just like, oh, like the hair on my neck stands. I'm like a human porcupine. The hair on my neck is standing up all over the place. Oh.
Well, I'll tell you too, man. One thing that we like to do when we do presentations, man, is I tell everybody, man, you shouldn't live your life in fear, man. You shouldn't go through your life in fear. So I feel like what I could do is if I can hold the snake, even if I hold the head way over here and you just pet the tail of it, if I feel like if I can help get you over your fear of snakes and take that one small step, that in another area of your life, maybe in business, or if you have relational issues with somebody and you're scared to talk to somebody, or if you have fear in another area of your life, I feel like if I can get you to take a small step to get over your fear of snakes, you can take that experience with you in another area of your life. So do you feel like, I want to kind of reverse that a little bit, and I want to talk about that a little bit. Do you feel like that fear of snakes has crept over into other areas of your life? And do you feel like if you overcome one area, then it could help you in another area?
I've heard that before, that type of therapy where they've had people who's been very snake phobic go in a room with snakes. I've seen people who've had, like, I guess big boa constrictors or whatever. Nothing deadly, but I've seen them, like, people who have gone into therapy and they've ended up first in the same room with the snake, then closer, then touch the tail. And I've seen people at one point where they have the snake around their neck. I mean, we're talking like a 12-foot snake. Like, it's crazy. Like, I've seen skinny people almost fall over because of the weight of these things. And I've seen it. I've seen the therapy, and I've seen people talk about it. I don't know. I want to say I'd be up for that, but that's a rough call. I don't know if that has dipped over into any other aspects of my life per se. But I do know that people like yourself that do actively help people get over their fear. I've seen it on TV, and I've watched videos and stuff of it, and it's awesome. It would just, I don't want to say I'd never do that, but it would sure take a lot of provoking and coaxing for me to even agree to put myself in that situation, just because of, one of my biggest, was a biggest fear of mine. And, the guy who's completely snake and reptile phobic, one of my friends were ripping me apart. Like, how does a guy like you who doesn't go near them get bit by an actual rattlesnake? They're like, you're a New Yorker. How do you get bit by a rattlesnake? And I was like, dude, it's just another chapter in the wacky story of my life,
Right. All right. Well, I got one more question to ask you, man. Snakes are here for a purpose. A lot of people don't understand that even the venomous snakes, they're using those for research now to make medicine out of. They're researching the breakdown of the snake venom. They're trying to cure cancer, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, help stroke victims with venomous snakes. And so snakes are here for a purpose. And I tell people that just like snakes are here for a purpose, you have a purpose too. People have a purpose. There's a reason that you're here. And so what kind of words of wisdom would you have for somebody who feels like that they don't have purpose in life, or feels like that they don't have meaning? There's no meaning in life, or they're real depressed. What do you feel like you can tell somebody, or you can share somebody that feels like they don't have any purpose in life?
Well, first and foremost, nobody knows what tomorrow holds as far as good, bad, people that come in and out of your life, people that you might meet once on an off chance at a concert or something. I've noticed that for myself, I've came in contact with people and they said, man, I'm struggling, I'm suicidal. I listen to your music and your music seems to bring me some peace with a lot of this, but I still go through these dark periods. And and sometimes like people say, well, I need, give me a reason to live. And I mean, first of all, that's rough to put on somebody to say something like that. And what I always tell people is you never know what's going to happen in your life. First of all, nothing is ever permanent. It's like different seasons of the year. It's seasons of life. And yeah, it sounds totally cliche to say the roller coaster of life, the up, the down, the twists, the turns. But that is literally the best representation because you don't know what the future has. I've came in contact with people where they were like, we talked for a few minutes. Something you said 15 years ago hit me. I had a guy, he wrote a letter and he was from New Jersey and he said, man, dude, I'm in a bad spot. And I've literally had the knife at my wrist. I need something. Give me something. I'm holding out for a return letter from you. I'm hoping you can give me some reason not to put an end to all this. And I was like, God, man, like, what do you say to something like that? Because you don't want to say the wrong thing. And I literally was like, all right, God, I don't know what to say. I honestly didn't know what to say. So I started writing him back and I said, look, man, I said, I've gone through a lot of dark seasons in my life, early 20s where I wanted to do it in. I wanted to just kill myself and get it over with because I didn't think there was a life worth living. I was in bad spot, bad place. I said, and one day, my brother and his wife had their baby, their first son. I said, I went to the hospital. I said, and I got to hold a baby. This was right in the middle of one of my darkest seasons. I said, so here I am holding this baby, patting it on the back. And I was feeling it with its little teeny fingers, like clinging to me and holding on to me. And I was like, it hit me. It was weird. I was like, wow, this little life is like clinging to me. I'm nobody, but it's grasping for me. And I said, I don't know if this means anything to you. I go, but if I would have did myself in and checked out, I said, I would have never got to experience that. I would have never got to experience what it felt to hold Anthony, because that's his name. I said, and to just to feel the heat from the baby and how it was clutching onto me, it triggered something in me. It did something. I said, I don't know if this makes any sense to you. I go, but if I would have checked out, I wouldn't have been able to hold this baby, to experience the joy vicariously through my brother and his wife, seeing how they were just beaming rays of sunshine with their firstborn. I said, and now it's like over the years, I got to see him grow up. He's a man now. He's, sergeant in the courts in Manhattan. And so I messaged this guy back and said, this is what I felt. I don't know what this means to you. I don't know if it helps you at all, but you never know what tomorrow holds. You don't know how something that you can say or do in an interaction can help somebody. Something as simple as if you get it like, like sometimes somebody gets on your mind, somebody you haven't spoken to in a while, you said, this guy just keeps popping up. I need to shoot him an email or call him. Hey, man, for some reason you're on my mind today. I just wanted to reach out, say hi, see how you're doing, and tell you I love you and I miss you. There's been so many people that will message back and be like, dude, I'm in such a bad place right now, and I've needed something, some kind of light, just something to help me out. And you messaging me couldn't have come at the best time. And all you did was just check in on me. He's like, just to know that somebody cared and somebody out there was thinking about me meant so much for me. And that's essentially what I was trying to convey to this kid. And then I got a letter back from him like the following week. And he said, you know what, dude? He goes, my sister just had a baby. He goes, I went to the hospital to hang out with my sister and her husband. And he says, I was holding the baby and I was like remembering your words and what you said. And he goes, and have my little, I think it was a little girl. He said, and feeling the baby like pulling on my clothes and holding me tight and pulling me in. He goes, it did something to me, and it just made me realize that there's a reason, and he's like, I wouldn't be able to experience this joy and all this. And I was like, in my mind, I was kind of like, because what do you say to somebody who says, hey, Steve, give me a reason to live. I got the knife on my arm. Give me a reason to live. I mean, that's brutal. That's hardcore, but something simple as, just a word like that. And like I said, and over the years, the letters that come in from people saying, you wrote songs that were very expressive, and you took the words that I had in my head. It's like you looked in my head with a flashlight and you said the things that I wanted to say, but I couldn't say. And you said the things I was thinking, but I couldn't utter them or get them out. Mm-hmm. And it makes sense. And it put me in an easy place and brought my anxiety down, knowing that somebody else was feeling exactly what I was feeling. And you put it, like everything I'm feeling, you put it out there set to music. And I just want to thank you. And I mean, from a musician standpoint, we're just a bunch of dudes that write stuff that we think is cool for us. My lyrics are always based on life. It's how I see life, how it affects me, how it affects those around me. And that's just how I've always written them. So they're very real. So the people that relate to the music, they usually relate to it on a really deep level like that. And I mean, literally, if I had $1 for all the letters we received over the years from people saying, man, I just wanted to say thank you because this song here, and particularly this line here, hit me like a ton of bricks. And I felt like I was chained down, and this right here kind of broke the chains, and it made me see I'm not the only one going through this. And if you can do it, I can do it, kind of thing. And it was just like, like mind blowing, because that's a tall order to put on somebody, like, hey, well, give me a reason why I shouldn't check out. And it's like, like I said, well, I had no clue what to say. That's why I was like, God, I'm going to just start writing. I have no clue what I'm going to write. You need to work. You need to move my hand because I don't know what to tell this kid. Because you don't want to be cliche. Oh, it'll get better. Yeah, life gets better, but it doesn't always stay better. It fluctuates. It's like, like anything else. The thing is, you have to hold on. You never know what tomorrow holds. You never know what something that you do or someone that you run into, how they can affect you in a positive way and how you can affect them. It's weird. It's just weird because, like you were talking about a festival in like the early 90s or mid 90s. And it's like, here it is all these years later, we communicate. I watch your videos, you watch mine, and you never know what somebody says or does, what that chain reaction will bring in a positive way, It's I don't want to ramble with that, but that's pretty much, how it is.
Yeah. And man, that's kind of me too, man. And I know I've told you that several times before, how your music has spoken to me big time throughout years, man. And your music has helped me hold on through tough times in my life, man. There's a lot of depression that I've been through in my life, man. And I could put on one of your albums, and it's kind of weird, man. It's some people look at it as dark, you know what I mean? They might think, oh man, that music's just kind of dark, man. But it's kind of weird when you're in that place, when you're in that period of darkness, man, that music can just do something to you to help you carry on another day. And
it's hopeful. I see some people on the exterior, they say, oh, it's heavy, there's some screaming, but there's always hope in it. And that's one of the constant themes of our albums and multiple songs is we get knocked down, but we always get back up. We might be beat up, we might be, cut up and bruised and bloodied, but we always get back up. We live to fight another day. We always, there is no laying down and just letting the world beat us. It's all about perseverance and never giving up and not backing down and forging through even the worst of things that you can ever go through. I mean, look, I got divorced 2.5 years ago. That was an extremely dark season of my life. I had relocated to Texas for a job that was like a silver platter opportunity. Couple of weeks after that, my marriage basically melted, and I was in a bad spot. I was in a horrible spot, and I wasn't in a good place. I was kind of drinking myself to death at night, and I would go to bed at night going, God, please don't let me wake up. I don't want to go through this anymore. And it wasn't like, oh, boo-hoo, my wife cheated and I'm not married anymore. It was more like, it was kind of like, in my mind, it was kind of like the last straw of, a lot of loss, losing my father, 3 of my brothers, constant family members, and just drama and just the stuff that life throws at you. And I was in one of my I'm beat up phases. But ironically, my dog is like, I've had her 12 years. She's my closest friend, my companion. And I started saying like, man, and if I check out, who's going to take care of Ellie? Who's going to take care of my cat? Like, we have a special bond. I'm like, no one's going to take care of her and love her the way I love her. And I don't think she'll ever give to anybody else the same what she gives to me. Because, you've met her. You see the bond we have. And something as, I don't want to say stupid, but as simple as that kind of was getting the wheels back in motion in my head of like, all right, you got to get out of this, focus on other things. Don't dwell. And here it is now, 2.5 years later. Those dark times, as horrible as they were and as bleak as they seemed, the positive side of that is it has spawned a whole 2 albums worth of new music that we have coming out soon about those trials, those tribulations, how I felt like I was stuck in a rut, same old windows, same old doors, every day the same routine, like, pulling a lever in a warehouse. And you know what I'm saying? It was very, very dark and bleak. So the byproduct of all that, basically pulling myself up from my bootstraps, dusting myself off and being like, all right, that was round 10. Here we go for round 11, life. Let's go. It was like, I'm not taking it anymore. I'm not laying down. And like I said, as brutal as it is to look back at it, now it's like, it's weird to say the positive side, but the positive result of all that now is the sonic therapy that me and my friends do. That's how we vent, instead of getting into a fight with somebody. I'm not going to hit somebody. I have to be really provoked to hit somebody, but I'm going to sit there and pen what I feel and release that way creatively, because that's my, not just my form of expression, that's literally my sonic therapy. So now it's like I've taken those experiences and I've kind of documented them about my mental state, what I was feeling like, like in Disease from Still Suffering, like that's a song about suicide as well, drowning with land in sight, no way to ease the pain. It's like, it's like almost like, the hand it's right there. It's almost there. It's just out of reach. It's like, it felt like that. So now I'm able to talk about those things, write about them, and still have the positive aspect of, you know what? These were really dark experiences, dark seasons, the worst of the worst of the worst that you can go through. But I'm still here to tell the tale. The Rattlesnake Bite, the part, all the stuff, the mistakes that you make as a younger person growing up, the near-death experiences, the drag racing, the BMXing on bikes where you wipe out and almost kill yourself. I have a laundry list this long of why I should be dead or in jail by now, but I'm not. And that's one of the good things is I can take all those experiences and channel them and funnel them into the music. And it's therapeutic to put me back, like to ground myself, so to speak, and then continue on. And then hopefully the byproduct of these newer songs and recordings and words is that other people will still, hopefully after all these years, will still see this and hear it and go, man, again, this guy's mimicking my life now. I'm going through another rough patch and I'm, divorced and I'm in a sad situation. And just, I've showed a handful of people some of the newer songs and they said, man, dude, this isn't even finished. And I love it because just the couple of lines I heard that hit me, and it's very mirror image to what these people's lives are and what they were going through. So it's like, it just, after all these years, it feels good to know that what you do in life and the things that you endure and how you change that and utilize it on a positive aspect is still in one way or another touching people in a positive way. So, which is in itself is amazing, you know, just to still be able to be here after all these years and still create music that even one person gets something out of. Because since day one, it was like, I'm writing and recording for me, but if one person gets something out of it, awesome. But to see so many people over the years continually, consecutively get stuff out of it, it just brings me and Pat and Eric a lot of joy, because it's like, well, we're still doing what we're doing for ourselves, but just to know that somebody gets anything out of it, it feels good to know that they're, at the end of the day, it's still touching people in one way or another.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a real powerful deal, man. And so man, I really appreciate you doing everything. So where can people find you, man? Where can people get a hold of your music, man? If they want to know more about you, man, where can they find you at?
If you search Klank with a K, KLANK, you can see us on klanknation on Twitter, Klank on Facebook, klanknation on Instagram, Klankdelosa personally on Facebook and Instagram. We are on all major music streaming outlets: Spotify, Deezer, Napster, Apple, Tidal, Apple Music, YouTube. Same thing on YouTube. We're under TheRealKlank because there was somebody who was using our name, so we had to be creative. But yeah, so if you just search anywhere, Klank, KLANK, 9 times out of 10, we will be the first thing that pops up. There's somebody else in Europe who's a DJ who goes by a sub name of something Klank. He's not us. He ain't the original.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna try to put a little deal here at the end of the video so people can search some of those links out for you, man. But man, I really appreciate, man. Like I said before, you've shown me what a good friend can be throughout the years, man. You've really demonstrated a good friendship, man, and I really appreciate that. I really appreciate you doing this video with me, man. And like I said, I just want to support you too. So I'll try to put some links down here at the end so people can find you, man. And again,
awesome.
Dude, I really appreciate everything you've done for me throughout the years, man. You've helped me out more than you know, man. So I really appreciate it, dude.
I appreciate the words.
All right, man. We'll catch you later, dude.
Take care, Steve.